Howdy folks, and welcome back to another exciting video with my 1951 Ford. Now, this car has not been on the road for 40 years now. Last time it was serviced was 1983, and it has been driven since then. Now what I want to see if I can make happen is, can we bring it back to life and put it back on the road after all this time? I think we can make it work because this thing is a beautiful example of a shoebox Ford. I've always loved these, but I've never gotten to own one, and now is the time to make that happen. This is the oldest car I've worked on this channel, so I'm very excited to really dive into this thing and see what we can make work. So stick around to the end of the video and see if we can bring this car back from the dead after 40 years of nothing. Folks, I was wrong. This thing has been off the road since 1981, so that makes 42 years it hasn't been driven. But that won't be stopping us from making this iconic Ford get back on the road where it belongs. And when I bought this car, it came with a trunk full of brand new parts that the previous owner had yet to install. So we're diving in head first on this 1951 Ford Custom. This isn't a restoration, it's a roadstoration. Of course, we have to put one of our roadstoration decals on. And if you want one of these for your ride, the link is down in the description below to my store. Hi folks, Dylan here to tell you about something that I love. Convenience. Quick, on the count of 3, name something that you cannot stand. Bulky wallets. I agree. Bulky wallets and convenience do not go together, but I'm here to tell you about the fix, which just so happens to be the sponsor for today's video, Groove Life. Let's say I'm driving along in my automobile with my puppy beside me at the wheel. I don't have a whole lot of hands to be grabbing for my wallet and get a debit card out while I'm at the drive-thru. Check this out. Easy as that. You good puppy. Good job. You're a little actress, aren't you? Check this out. When you slide that up, every single card is easily spotted, and you can pick any card you want. That's simple. When I tell you the satisfaction that this wallet brings is unmatched. And if that's not enough, on the back you still have extra space for more card storage and a money clip right there at your fingertips. One more time. Ooh, that's good. If anything goes wrong with this wallet, don't worry, Groove Life has you covered with a 94-year warranty. Am I reading that right? They have a 94-year warranty? Like, actually? Like, that's a long time. Are you sure? Folks, you heard it right. 94 years, this wallet's covered. They don't just sell wallets. They've got rings, AirPod cases, watch bands, and these slick-looking little belts. They got some stretch to them, and these fancy little quick-release connectors. Look at that. That's so cool. Folks, it's time to bring your wallet game into the 21st century. Go down to the link below, groovelife.com/McCool, and use my promo code McCool to get 20% off of every single product on Groove Life website. That's the best offer you can find anywhere, but you have to use my promo code McCool at checkout. Thank you, Groove Life, for sponsoring. Let's get back to the video. Now when I tell you I'm excited, I mean it to the fullest extent because this car is beautiful. There's hardly any rust. You can see just a tiny bit in the fender there and just a little bit in the rocker and maybe a few pinholes in the floor and the trunk floor. Other than that, this thing is fantastic. As you can see, it's a beautiful color. It was probably repainted at some point, and that's probably what saved the car and kept it from really rusting any further than it did. Don't really know the whole story about it. The guy I bought it from had told me that it came out of Georgia and it sat in storage for a very long time, but it's a V8 in the first year for the automatic. Now what he did was actually take the wheels and tires off. He replaced the tires, painted the wheels, and the car pretty much sat. So I don't know a whole lot about it, but we're gonna see if we can make something work, because check out how clean it is on the inside. Look at that. Beautiful dash, steering wheel's intact. The seat covers are really nice. They were probably recovered at some point. So if we really clean this up and make it something, I think we can have a really, really nice driver. So the headliner's falling a little bit, but what old car doesn't? The back seat, again, I mean, it looks fantastic. The car is just altogether very original, very complete. Even the door panels look perfect. I mean, you can't really ask for much more, especially in a car that's 70 plus years old. So my goal is to really dive into this thing and see if we can make it run and drive it up to the shop. Oh, this is like supreme comfort right here. Like, huge steering wheel. That's all the play. The wheels have not moved yet. But the seat, I mean, it's pretty comfortable. It rides like you would expect a 51 Ford to ride. That's pretty cool. We had the original keys. Look at that. I wonder if it opens the glove box here. I have no idea how that works. You push, there we go. There's nothing in there. No liner, but it works. it actually works. All the switches and knobs in this thing, I'm not used to cars that look like this, I guess. It's really cool. But it's simple, you know, that's what's great about it. It's super simple, but it's purposeful, and it makes sense. And that's what's great about 51 cars, or anything from this era, is that it was simple and it made sense.
I reckon something I should have asked before I bought the car was, how do you open the hood?
Oh, I feel a lever. It goes over, no, what is that? Folks, this is new ground. 1951, we had a hood release cable. I think that did it. Oh man, isn't that crazy? That's 1951, folks. Under the hood, we have the fantastic and legendary Flathead V8 Ford. And I really hope this thing runs. It looks completely there. Everything is where it should be, I'm hoping. And from what I can tell, it is a positive ground. So, and it's 6 volt. So we'll have to make sure we get that correct. This battery has been put in here. I don't know how old it is, but it's a newer battery. It looks like somebody's put new straps on it. So we at least have new cables. That's a plus. That helps us out a lot. But I guess it just never ran. Look at the Fomico radiator hoses. I don't know if these, I doubt these are original, but those look super cool if you're correct. Got 2 thermostat housings for both sides of the engine. That's just unique. On the back side of the firewall, you can really see that original color, at least what I would assume is original paint. And then out here, I mean, heck, maybe it wasn't repainted, but if it wasn't, it was very well kept for however long it sat. I mean, this is incredible. There's the last time it was registered, 1981. Look at that. So I was wrong when I said earlier with 83. It's actually 1981. So it's been 43 years since this old rig has been on the road. That is incredible. Let's just see if we can get some kind of power going to the thing. Now, I can jump start it with 12 volts just for like a second, so I don't want to hurt it or anything. We'll try and charge it and just see if anything happens first. I've made a lot of bold assumptions before in my life, but I'm going to assume that right back there is the fuel pump. I don't know much about Flathead V8s, but I'm thinking that's fuel pump. Got a filter on the housing there. And then I'm guessing that's a fuel line that's going down to nothingness. So it's been disconnected at some point, and somebody ran this jug here to try and do some kind of fuel work here. Not too really sure what was going on with that. I checked the fuel linkage, the throttle, and it's working. It's actually moving, so that's good. It tells me that maybe the engine's not gonna be locked up. The more that I look at this thing, the more I realize that maybe it's been running here recently. Based on the fuel jug over in the fender, all these brand new heater hoses with newer hose clamps. I mean, that tells me that this thing has probably been running, or at least attempted to run. I reckon it wouldn't hurt to check the oil before we do anything drastic. Ooh, it's got oil in it. Wow, it smells really bad, but it's got some in it. So it'd be enough to at least try to start it, and then we can change it later on, of course. We're gonna just pull a spark plug and see how it looks. That's way bigger of a socket. 3/4? Not quite. Do you fancy a 13/16? You do. Oh, those broke loose so simply. Yeah, this thing, it's had spark plugs put in it, I'm sure. Well, okay. Maybe not. They're champions, but wow, are they disgusting. Yeah, they're pretty nasty. I guess we can just figure out if the engine's locked up or not first, and then if the spark plugs are necessary to change, we'll change some spark plugs. But I would just about bet money these things are probably toast. Yes, this thing is a 6 volt with a positive ground, but we're gonna just run it to a 12 volt battery just to see if we can get any movement or life out of it. Now, obviously I wouldn't run it for very long with this situation, but we just wanna see if anything will happen at all. We're getting some kind of, ooh, she's hot. Well, I guess we can just try it and see. Let's spin the key over and see if there's any movements. Nothing still. Okay, so I know you're not supposed to do this, but I stuck the 12 volt battery in here because I don't think the ignition switch is working. I tried to turn it over with this battery in here and nothing happened again. So I'm gonna take the screwdriver, I'm gonna cross over the starter solenoid and see if anything works. Oh. Oh yeah, it does work, okay. Well, nice. Good, okay, it's not stuck. It sounded like it had compression. So let's take this battery back out. We know that the ignition switch is probably the likely culprit. Doesn't want to work. So we'll remove this so we don't cook anything, and we'll try and charge up this 6-volt battery to do this again. Got the distributor cap off. It looks pretty decent on the inside, but what we'll do is we'll spin it over now and see if we see any spark. Nothing. Nothing at all. I'm gonna try the sandpaper on the points trick because the contacts look pretty good. Just hope that does something. Well, I found the issue. Apparently the ignition switch does work, so I turned the ignition switch to the run position, and now look. We have spark, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's about time we try to see if this thing will run. Let's give her one more rip. Ooh, I like the way that sounded. A whole lot more. Oh, she wants to run. Look at that. The old Flathead is something else, man. I tell you what. Woo. Yes. Absolutely yes. Oh, that's fantastic. Man, I love these old cars. That is cool. Gosh, it's so cool. 1951, folks. So I'm going to swap out these gas jugs here, because this one... Fine, you can stay. We're going to swap out gas jugs here and see if we can pick up any fuel at all. I'm sorry, what? It picked up a little bit. Come a little closer, you can see what's happening. So we're trying to get it to spin just enough for that fuel pump to pick up fuel on that back side there. There's a little filter housing that you can see. Oh my gosh. Let's see if we can keep it running. Come on now. Oh my good Lord. That doesn't sound good. I hope we don't have to replace the starter here soon. Stay. Oh, it's picking up fuel. Uh-oh. Why is there... Did you hear that? I heard a liquid noise. A noise that I don't like. Gosh, that is so disgusting. What's in there? Why do I hear... What is that dumping on the ground? Oh, there's no hose clamp. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, well, let's just see if it'll run off what's in there. It's not drawing any fuel in either. Oh, that's fully closed. Okay, we'll try that. That's the ticket. That sounded weird. That was wild. Okay, well it runs. Let's just, ow, I hit my head. Well, I don't think our fuel pump is really doing a whole lot of anything right now. So we're gonna try and just fill up the carburetor directly from a bottle. So I've taken this old sparkling ice drink, and I'm gonna fill it up with some gas real quick. That ought to do right there. We're just going to try and bottle feed it. And the way we're going to do that is with this little cap that I found off some gear oil. Now that it's covered in mud, we'll take and just screw this on. And of course, I forgot to cut the end off. I'm going to stick this right in the bowl vent. See if we can fill it up a little bit. Because right now it just won't pick up enough fuel to actually idle. I think it would idle if it had any gas. Come on. Come on. Starter's getting hot, I bet.
just does that. There it goes.
Well, it runs. I was trying to get it to run long enough to drive up to the shop. I think I can though. What I'm going to do is I'll disconnect this line here and then run my electric pump onto that. And I think that would do it. I just don't have a key. That's the only problem. If I put an ignition switch on it, I think it would be good. But now it'll, well, now it won't. Starter, I think, just gets hot or something. See, it's just dumping fuel out the base. So I'm thinking it's going to need a rebuild, I'm sure, but that, I mean, I could have put way too much in it past the needle and seat. Oh, it's not even, probably sucking air is what it's doing. Yeah, there's no fuel coming out of that at all. Wondering what the odds are this electric fuel pump would work on 6 volts. Not enough voltage. The starter would only free spin at this point, so plans of taking it on its first drive up to the shop were slightly postponed. That's not going to stop us though. Dad and I hooked it up to my truck and we pulled the 51 inside. You want to know how annoying old cars can be sometimes? Check this out. As soon as we go through the effort of pulling it in the shop, it runs flawlessly. Look at that, it doesn't even move. It idles. Then we have an exhaust leak of sorts somewhere. Let's do it out back. Straight up race car right there. Oh yeah, single glass pack all the way out to the back of the car. But man, does this, it runs flawlessly. Like, genuinely, it's amazing. Probably run out of fuel here in a second, but yep, there it goes. Come on now. Now she's out of fuel. So we'll let that battery charge up. I mean, if it stays charged, it's really nice, but I did crank on it a little bit too hard. What I think was happening was whenever I had the 12 volt going, I got the starter hot and it just didn't want to work. While the battery's charging up, I wanted to show you some really cool things I found about this car. One, we have lights inside here. That is amazing. I did try the turn signals. One kind of works. Look at that, really long blink. Oh, that's faster than it was before. More voltage. It likes that. You can see here it wants to blink. I think we've got, you know, again, low voltage here. The generator's not doing anything. And this side, it doesn't want to work. Probably got a bad bulb. Look at that. Headlights up front, they do dim. And then a turn signal up front. Again, driver's side doesn't want to work, but we can fix that and try to work on it. Looks like it's full of water at some point. Probably wouldn't be surprised. And check out the light that comes on. Look at that. So that all works still. We hit the second setting, nothing happens. And we have choke cable here. This one's is interior lights. And look at that. Behind me, we have lights that come on and off. 1951, guys. And this is a cigarette lighter. I don't know if it works yet. I haven't tried it. And this is a radio. Radio doesn't work. And then there's one that says ashtray, but I don't see how it's like a knob. But, oh, what? It's literally an ashtray. It's so hidden. It's concealed with the dash. Look at that. Wow. Here's where the greatest part of all is. Look underneath this car. So flippin' heckin' solid. This is a 72-year-old car, guys. Look at that. So solid. No rust, no issues. The only rust I know about is over here on the driver's side, and I think there's a little bit on the passenger side. Not a lot, though. It's insane. This is nicer than most cars that I've worked on that have been way, way newer. So whoever had this car really, really tried to take care of it, and it shows. So I'm proud to say this car is a good candidate to fix and put back on the road if we can make this transmission work. I know it took reverse and it took, I think, drive. I hope it took drive. So what we have here, I'm assuming, is a fill plug right here. So there's an access panel in the floor, so we'll have to take this out and then fill it up and just check, make sure there's enough fluid in there. But it's air cooled from what I can tell. These are like air vents to cool off the torque converter. And as you can see, it is actively leaking. So that's probably why it didn't want to pull. Where's it coming from? Probably the pan itself. Looks like this corner is leaking pretty good. There's the master cylinder, and it's probably been replaced at some point. Looks like it to me, but it doesn't work, so we can replace that. This is your hydraulic pressure switch for the brake lights, so that's probably why the brake lights don't work. But everything seems like it would be fairly simple to replace. Unbolt this one, get a brand new one for that. One of the modifications the previous owner did was add lowering blocks. I think those are like 4-inch blocks right there. Pretty stout. The shocks weren't long enough to reach, so we left them unhooked. But for the front, we've got lowering springs to go in the front as well as new shocks to make that work. So we may do that. We may go ahead and add those in. Look at that. Something I was really unaware of on these cars is that the exhaust manifold for the front points forward, goes across, and then hooks into the other side for the exhaust manifold, and then it's just a single pipe that goes all the way out with a glass pack. That's pretty cool. Kind of weird, but pretty cool. And of course it's rusted out in the very rear. Out back though, I do see some problems with the fuel tank. We've got some pretty nasty holes right there, but guess what? It came with a fuel tank. See how these brakes look here. Something fell out. Oh, okay. Okay. Everything else looks pretty good. Looks like the wheel cylinder wasn't leaking, so that's a good sign. And that's pretty rare. Ha! I like that. I like that. The shoes. Wow. My guess is somebody redid the brakes at some point. I don't know if you can see that. Drums themselves look pretty nice. So these were probably rebuilt, but we're missing the brake adjuster too, I see. Unless these aren't automatic. You know what? They probably aren't. This is 1951 after all. And that makes the rear brakes done. Got everything figured out. We got to resurface the drums, but we have new hardware, new shoes, new everything. And then there we have a new brake hose. So everything is pretty much ready to go, at least for the rear. The brake lines look pretty good, so hopefully nothing's gonna be a problem there. Now let's move up to the front. Oh wow, that's a lot of shrubbery there. Man, I don't know how long this thing's been sitting in. Luckily they roll, so hopefully it's not too bad inside. Woo. last thing on our list is the master cylinder. Check this out here, guys. This little fitting right here was a last piece and it's broken. Right here is the port for the brake light switch, and that goes from front to rear. It's just a divider directly off the master cylinder and it's cracked. I don't know if I did that or if it was like that already, but it doesn't help whenever you're having brake fluid just pour out everywhere. Luckily though, we have a new one with the brake kit. So we'll pop this bad boy back in and see if that fixes our issue. And there it is. The master cylinder completes our brake job. Got a new brake switch as well. And man, I cannot wait to see if it'll actually work. So we went to bleed the brakes and there was no fluid. It would not move whatsoever. And I pulled the old brake line off and it turns out it was completely stopped up. Like nothing would flow past it. Because up here it was actually uncapped. They had unscrewed it over on this side. So I guess just air got inside of it and ruined it. So I replaced that with a new stainless steel line. As soon as I did that, all four wheels bled. So we're good on that front. So brakes are done. While the car's up in the air, I figured I could go ahead and drop the fuel tank. Now look here, it's got a nice little drain plug so you can get all that old gas out, but I don't think I'm gonna have to do that. We've got a quick release fuel tank on its way out here, so we're gonna just go ahead and get rid of all this and start fresh. You know, for an original gas tank, it's really not that bad. I have seen way, way worse come out of a car, unless the top side is just completely gone, but you know, typically you see them, they're just disintegrated at this point. Well, it decided to cooperate. Okay, that works for me. There's the old tank out and it is rough. It may not look as bad as it does, but man, it is bad. Here's our new tank and it looks a lot better. We got our new sending unit in, just had to adjust the float, get our ground wire ready, and then we reconnected our wire to the sending unit. Dixie here is just getting a good little nap in. So we're gonna pop this bad boy in and I hope it works. But look how good the floor pan looks. I mean, this is immaculate. So clean underneath. There's like zero rust in the trunk floor. And that's what that factory undercoating looks like. You can see where it's not so dirty. It's crazy. For a 72-year-old car, this is crazy. Now that the fuel tank is done, we can move on to the front of the car. Our fuel pump here, it's terrible. Like, it does not want to work. It'll pick up fuel, but it will not supply it to the carburetor. So this one's junk, we're gonna replace that. Fuel pump is installed and ready to go. And while I was here, I wanted to rebuild the carburetor because I noticed right here, I saw some air bubbles around this gasket. What that tells me there was a vacuum leak, and sure enough, this gasket here is broken. So that's not good. So we can go ahead and just rebuild everything. It had a stuck float or something, and it would leak like crazy whenever you had the fuel pump running. So I'm just gonna go ahead and rebuild it and call it a day. So this is why we rebuild the carburetor. We had a couple of issues that I noticed. One, the needle and seat was sticking against the float, so it actually would not fully close, and that's what was causing it to flood itself, basically. Another thing we suspected was how nasty it was inside the bowl. Might be hard to see, but it is full of just sediment. See that nastiness? That was all in our carburetor. So it's probably in every single passage, so we're gonna take a lot of time and make sure we clean this as best as we can so we don't have anything left. Fuel system should be completely done at this point. So we're gonna put a few gallons of gas in the tank and we're gonna see if this thing actually will run. I'm nervous but excited at the same time. We're gonna do the exact same thing and fill up the fuel bowl with fresh gas before we do anything, so that way the pump can actually kick in and fill up. Oh, and I see some leaks. Looks like we need to tighten our screws down on our carburetor here. The dang starter is about to ruin this whole endeavor. So I did the smart thing and completely disassembled it, which is something I have never attempted before on a car this old. But hey, isn't that what it's all about? Tearing something apart and hoping it works when you put it back together. Everything's back together. Let's see if something works now. We got a battery hooked up to it, ground it out. Oh, it's working. Much happier. All right, let's put it back in the car and see if that works. Folks, sometimes it actually pays off to do a little research before you start working on cars like this. I was trying to study up on the Ford-O-Matic transmission. What I found out on the original brochure was that you cannot start the car without it being in neutral. I had it in park the whole time. That's why the ignition switch wouldn't work. As soon as I bumped it down into neutral, it works from inside. It's running off its own fuel supply right now, except there's a giant fuel leak at the pump. Nice though. We'll shut her down and then we'll fix this leak. I'm about to convert this car to 12 volt because look at how good this thing starts. It's freezing cold out here. It's about 40 degrees. It's been sitting overnight, and I'm gonna do a first start right now. Watch this. I don't have any car that starts that good cold. Nothing. That is incredible. Here's the original shock. As you can see, there's not a whole lot of shocking going on. So this one is junk. What I have here is a brand new air shock. We'll put airs in the rear so that way we can lift up the back, because this thing's lowered so low in the rear that if you ever had people in the back seat, it's probably gonna scrape. Well, I was getting ready to drive, filling up the radiator with coolant, and this is the problem. We are dumping coolant out like crazy. Look at this. Well, we're not driving with that radiator, unfortunately. Oh boy, it's gotten worse. Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Okay, well let's I just really need to look at the transmission fluid while it's running, so heck. Since the coolant was going to make a mess anyway, I quickly checked the transmission fluid through this secret little panel in the floor. There's a cutout in the carpet and it lifts up to gain access to the transmission fill hole. How cool is that? Once this thing quits self-draining, I've got a fix for it. Just so happens that I had preemptively ordered this. A new Champion radiator. This thing is built to handle up to 650 horsepower, supposedly. Thankfully, we won't be getting anywhere near that. So as soon as this thing quits leaking, we'll put this thing in and drive. It's in. Our final step here is to change the oil. Let me get this old canister out of here. Ooh, nice. Ow. Make a mess. Story of my life. Is this not gonna go? Please. There we go. That's all I ask. Just a little cooperation. New gasket for the lid. And there it is. Oh man. We're about to drive this thing. It's officially time. And 5 quarts of the good stuff. Done. Well, folks, it's time. Maiden voyage is now. 1951 Ford Custom should have everything buttoned up and ready to go. Let's back it out of the shop and see what happens. Here we go. Firing. Ah, that doesn't get old. Put on the brake. She goes into reverse. Down the ramp. We are officially off the lift under our own power. Now that feels good. And the brakes are working. How's that steering? Yep, it's old. Here we go. Ease her on down. Ease her on down. Look at there, guys. Oh, that's good. We can go backwards, but can we go forwards? Oh, it took gear. This is excellent. Full throttle. Oh, there we go. There we go. Slowing down. I'm in love with this car. This is, oh, this is perfect. Man, this is good. This is just so good. Brakes are good. Look there. Panic stop. Oh my gosh. Wow. It works. Takes low. Ooh. I didn't like that sound. There may be no spinnies, but we're moving. Oh, she sounds mean. Yeah. Yeah. Our gauges appear to be working. We've got good temperature, we've got good oil pressure. I don't think the fuel is that high, but it is up there. We've got about 5 gallons. I say we go for a little drive. Curious to see how many gears we have. I think it shifted. I don't know. Look at a vibration. I bet you it's that dang pinion angle from those lowering blocks. Yeah, a little bit of a vibration. I'm probably going to take those blocks back out and just lift it up in the rear. Or I could use the air shocks, but oh, that's rough. That or the tires are rubbing tremendously. I hope it's fine. That's on the floor right there. She don't got a lot. Probably need to adjust the throttle. I don't think it's actually fully engaging. Temp's good, oil's good. We're still rolling, folks. I smell a little coolant. Probably just going out the overflow. I probably overfilled it. Nice, handles nice. It's got some vibrations and scrubbing and a little bit of issue here and there, but know, overall for a 72-year-old car, this thing is awesome. I can't complain one bit, and I absolutely love this thing. I can see myself road tripping this thing anywhere. Downshifting, that's to the floor. We don't have enough throttle engagement to really make this thing a contender. I'm gonna have to adjust the throttle linkage, but it'll move. That feels about 45 maybe. 42, yeah, 46. Not bad. 46 miles an hour. She's moving on. This is what it's like driving an old 51 model Ford. Just imagine taking this thing cross country. That would be so fun. I could do that. I love this car. I've always wanted a shoebox Ford, and now I can finally say I've got a shoebox Ford. Runs, drives, stops. 45 miles an hour is very comfortable. Again, we've got some vibrations we got to sort out, but overall, I couldn't be happier. I love these cars with a passion, and to finally own the legendary V8 Flathead is awesome. I've always wanted to mess with one. I've always wanted to work on one, and I feel like I could confidently, you know, keep this thing going for as long as I need to now. So I'm hoping to continue on, make some more videos on this, improve it as we go, and make it a little bit better each time. But now this car is a running and driving example of a 1951 Ford Custom. When it comes to things that just work, this car is the definition of it. Look at it. Idling, ready to go. Let's pack the family in the car and go on a road trip. This thing is destined for the open road, and it is fantastic. We've got a V8 1951 Ford, and I love everything about this car. Folks, I have had such a blast working on this car this week, and I really hope you guys enjoyed watching this video as much as I did making it, because this car is immaculate. It runs like a sewing machine, it rides super smooth, and it is a beautiful example of a 1951 Ford Custom with a Flathead V8. Back on the road for the first time in 42 years, but we're not done yet. We still have a lot of stuff planned for this car, and I really hope you guys take the time to subscribe, turn on those notifications so you don't miss out on future projects just like this. But again, we have a lot of stuff I want to do to this car. We've got to clean up the interior, you know, do some stuff for the outside, preserve this patina, as well as just make it all around a much better car. So thank you guys for watching. Go down in the link below. Don't forget your Roadstoration stickers, order your t-shirts while you're there, and I appreciate every single one of you guys for your support, and I will see you in the next one.